Hello, welcome, please come in. It is time for the final game in our Fist Weapons Only series, and as a reminder, the rules are, I can only deal damage to enemies with fist weapons. But any other buffs are 100% allowed, and boy am I gonna need some buffs. Later, we'll get to it. So we make our character, choose the wretch because I think that even stat distribution might be kind of useful, move my flask to the pouch for easy access, and it's time to do a lot of setup, like always. First, it's over to the Gatefront Grace to meet Melina and get Torrent, then into the nearby ruins to get the basic Wet Blade. On this overlook, I grab a gold foot, then through the woods to get some crystal tears. Over to some grave robbing for soul items, and north to this church for the Flask of Wondrous Physic and a sacred tear. I do love Elden Ring, but one downside of doing challenge runs is the first hour or so of every playthrough is running errands. In Caelid, I grab some more rune items from another grave. Stopping at this shack, Melina abducts me, so I need to warp back in time to pop those soul items to buy my first actual weapon. The Spiked Kestis. Just like the Kestis of old, but now it inflicts a bit of bleed buildup, which should be very useful shortly. But first it's into Fort Ferrith to grab the Dectus Half, a decently sized rune item, and Radagon Soreseal, exactly as planned. And now it's time to punch this dragon. Bleed deals percentage damage, so while it does take a lot of time, it is very viable to punch this dragon slowly to death. This kills it and its little dragons, and by popping that gold foot, I get 96k, which is very nice. So let's start by buying some armor, so I'm not just running around naked. Then to leveling up, which is basically all strength and all vigor, because more health and more damage. Back to Limgrave to grab determination for later, and a quick boss kill against the Mad Pumpkinhead. This unlocks Sell and Shop to buy Magic Weapon, which may end up being useful, and a nearby sorcerer is kind enough to give me a free glintstone staff. What do I need to do next? Oh, gold foul feet, which means I need to get away from me, you stupid mosquito. Hi, Nereus. Goodbye, Nereus. Hi, Patches, and goodbye, Patches. That unlocks the recipe for foul feet and means I can buy a few. Actually, how am I gonna get foul feet when I have no ranged attacks? Anyway, over to Fort Height to grab the other half of the Dectus Medallion. My damage is quite bad, so I hope those bleed procs hold up, and I should buy more smithing stones. South on Weeping Peninsula, I grab all the golden seeds and sacred tears that are available to me, which is a fair number, actually. Not actually sure where I picked up this fire grease, but it is quite useful against this Erdtree avatar, when I can actually hit. I suspect the range on fist weapons is going to continue to be an issue, because what the heck is that hitbox? Hopefully it won't cause huge issues in a later boss fight. That's foreshadowing, by the way. Okay, up to Stormhill to grab another gold seed, grab some root resin, and flame butterflies. I'll want these for fire grease, and murder this horseman for the golden vow ash of war. Okay, back to Round Table to use some of these smithing stones I've been buying. Not as upgraded as I'd like. That should be fine though. My damage may not be great, but bleed exists. So, let's take out Margit. Okay, between my Wondrous Physic, Golden Vow Ash of War, and Magic Weapon, my damage is actually pretty good. I'm mostly using charged attacks, which I'm not super used to, so I get hit more than I'd like. On the other hand, fist charge attacks deal a lot more stance damage than you might expect. I knew certain fist weapons were really good in this game, more on that soon, but I really didn't expect the Spiked Kestis to be able to output really good damage this unupgraded with only a few buffs. Okay, maybe this will be easy. And that means it's time for Stormveil. No Gostock, no back route for me. Main gate is my way in. I'll be fine. Ow! Better players would probably get hit less running through here, but that ain't me. Doesn't matter though, I still make it through on the first attempt, and it's already time for the first shard bearer, Godric. He is stronger than Margit, and I don't know his moveset nearly as well, which honestly should be fine, but there's some hitbox shenanigans going on. That is making my charge attacks miss. And evading grab attacks still isn't my specialty, but that's okay. Do a little victory hop, I guess, and we are into Liurnia. And that means more errands. First, pick up Flame Cleanse Me, low requirements and it cures all statuses, which is very important. Then it's time to take out another Erdtree avatar. These stupid hitboxes on this boss are really annoying. Gotta hit the side to actually deal damage. And not overcommit to a charged attack. Okay, second attempt and we are good. Oh, sir, no, this didn't have to go this way. Oh, you know what? I never picked up the recipe for the fire paper. Let me just go do that now. Should really have done that before facing the avatar, but I didn't. Oh well, time to punch more trees. Despite being objectively more dangerous, thanks to Rot, this isn't actually that difficult of a fight. Just light my hands on fire and slowly strafe around him. Well, that still counted, and gets me the fire-boosted crack tier. Nice! And next we meet up with our new friend, Bogart. Huh, that went south very quickly. Let's give that another attempt. Sorry, bud, much as I don't really want to, I do need to kill you. Anyway, this gives me the Iron Balls, another fist weapon with a different charge attack. No bleed buildup, but it does deal a lot of damage. But to get some stones, I need upgrades. Let's dive into the Raya Lucaria Crystal Tunnel. There are smithing stones all over the place in here, and I can get the first smithing stone bell bearing by demonstrating the crystalline's weakness to bludgeoning damage. So, now both my fists are +6. What's next on my list? Well, I might as well take out another avatar. I can show off the enhanced charge attack, despite missing to some stupid hitboxes. It's very nice and deals a lot of poise damage. And let me grab the Academy Crystal Key because I will need it. I guess I can pick up the recipe for blood grease as well? Okay, setup done, and it's time to deal with Raya Lucaria, which is always fun. See? We're having fun. Good thing you can skip a lot of this area. Okay, Red Wolf time. I should be pretty good at fighting this after my extensive Night Rain practice. And no, not really. I'm just too impatient. I really just need to be better at taking my time, which is a thing I'm not good at. Especially with how often this boss leaves itself open to big attacks. And to be fair, my attacks do deal a lot of damage. Okay, there we go. That took 3 attempts, which is 2 more attempts than it should have, but I'll take it. I think I'm just gonna rush the next boss. Okay, that didn't go great. Let's try that again. Goodbye, Moongrim. And it's Renala time, which should be very easy. Let's see if it actually is. First, beat up the scholars, then buff up, and yeah, that's pretty good. Not a 1 cycle in phase 1, but it's pretty close, easily a 2 cycle. And phase 2 is actually even easier. Just do a bunch of punches. They stagger her out of many of her attacks. Once she starts summoning, it does get a little more complicated, but not that much more complicated. And summoning her dragon is always great because you don't actually need to dodge this fire breath attack. Nice. More leveling and then warp over to the Dectus lift. Grab a sacred tear and it's time to take an elevator ride because I have more setup to do. First up is Gilliga. Honestly not sure why I haven't switched to the Iron Balls. Bleed, probably? So many questions for past me. Anyway, Demi-Human Queen dead, and that gets me the Ritual Sword Talisman. Then I can grab even more Golden Seeds. We love flask upgrades, and it's into the sealed tunnel to grab the next smithing stone bell bearing, which means more weapon upgrades. Okay, that is both fist weapons up to +12. Oh, I should grab the Gold Scarab. The fight should be more than doable now that I have a few more upgrades. I am very happy I have Flame Cleanse me. And now, bonus runes. Okay, next is another avatar. More for the runes than anything else. I do need to be careful because any attack will one-shot me, but my damage is great. And these avatars are pretty predictable. Okay, I have 2 great runes so I can head into Leyndell. I just have one little problem to deal with, the Draconic Tree Sentinel. My buff charged attacks are very strong, both in good damage and good poise damage. Staggering DTS happens a lot, actually. DTS does deal a lot of damage in return, which I don't appreciate, but I have a lot of experience fighting this boss, and it only takes 2 attempts. Okay, this is honestly going really well. I knew going into this that the Iron Balls would be very effective. They deal great poise damage, and the modified charge attack is surprisingly good for how fast it is. We're already about halfway through the game. Time to dig into Leyndell and hope that also goes well. Jump along some rooftops, kill an avatar to grab a decent rune item, and we're on the upper level. Golden Seed and into the Round Table Hold. I don't actually know if the Golden Wet Blade will be useful, but it does allow lightning infusions. Oh, didn't realize the dogs could actually get in here. Interesting. And past these duelists, I get the Ritual Shield Talisman, which can do a lot for survivability. I should probably run some more errands before I head into my next few boss fights. Sacred Tear from this church, another Golden Seed, and into the Wyndham Catacombs to get stuck between this enemy and a wall and die. So let's try this again, because past all this nonsense is another cookbook that unlocks lightning grease. So let me grab some ingredients for that, and we're into the next real fight, Goldfree. To immediately die because, yeah, that's just bad play. Come on, me, do better. There we go. Much like every boss in this game, Iron Balls have big charge attacks that are very good at dealing damage and breaking stances. And while I don't actually dodge that well, it doesn't really matter that much. Iron Balls are just way too strong. And that gets my vigor up to 40, which is good enough for now. Probably some endurance next. And next up on the chopping block is Morgott. Let's see how Blood Grease does. It's not great for base damage, but Morgott is pretty weak to bleed. He's also very weak to getting charged attacked into a stagger, and a devastating critical attack. Wow, yeah, these bowls are really just an easy mode through a lot of this game, huh? Anyway, let's go ahead and get some more endurance. Extra stamina and equip load could be useful. Onwards to Mount Gelmir and to the Volcano Manor, because I'm going to do some missions for them to get me some new armor. Not actually sure if I'm going to bother to go all the way through to the Bull Goat set, but we'll see. Istvan, can you stop being a little troublemaker? Okay, new armor acquired. Let's head for the big elevator, then a big bridge, kill this guy who I feel very normal about, and an even bigger elevator. Ah, Mountaintop of the Giants, which hides another bell bearing for upgrade materials. Nice. And another less important bell bearing. Meh. But a sacred tier, and another sacred tier. And that means time to buy some stones and upgrade these balls all the way to plus 18. And I am a little underleveled, but I am feeling very stubborn. What's my damage look like against Fire Giant? And the answer is pretty good. I managed to beat him up and get into phase 2 pretty quickly. I always struggle in this phase to hit the areas that Fire Giant actually takes, damage in. So let's switch over to the Blood Kestis to see if some bleed procs can make a difference. The answer is no. Next attempt, I get some fun luck with fire pillars. Let's see if the third attempt goes better. What I should actually do is go get some more runes, upgrades, and complete some optional content, but this fight does seem doable. I really hate the Fire Giant, it's just such an obnoxious fight. Maybe I should have grabbed some Rot Grease. Rot Grease is pretty good in this fight, though Rot Grease has terrible stat buildup. And yeah, now we're going to skip ahead a bit because I spent 30 minutes or so trying, and failing, and trying again to make this fight work. And it ultimately just comes down to bleed triggers while riding Torrent around to dodge attacks. I really need to start buffing up my strength to get my damage numbers up. Okay, only a handful of bosses remaining, and there seems to be a decent number of recording sections left to get through. That certainly doesn't suggest problems. But I know what boss is up next, so it's time to grab some soporific grease. And the ingredients to make more. The build-up on this is terrible, but it's what I've got. And then we burn the Erd Tree, and it's time for a mad dash through Farum Azula. Whoops, meant to hit the jump button there. Okay, already next boss time, and I can't help but notice there are 50 minutes left in this recording that ends when I beat the Godskin Duo. That's not a good sign. So, this is a duo fight, it's bad in almost every way, and the best way to handle it is to put one or both of the Godskins to sleep. Problem, my only method of sleep delivery is soporific grease, and soporific grease has an awful build-up rate. Like a dozen hits to put them to sleep bad. And the Godskins have pretty aggressive attack patterns and will input read any item usage with a black flame, which is half the problem with this fight. Now, that's all really bad because it also means it's really difficult to get in the charge attacks I really need to get a stagger. But the added problem is that Trina Lilies, used to make the grease, don't respawn, meaning if I run out, I will have to grind for more. And that is giving me flashbacks to grinding for rot butterflies in the bow-only run, and that is a pain I do not wish to repeat. Okay, I'm gonna take a break from this and get some more runes and more levels. First up, I have another avatar fight, although this one is actually a bit dangerous because it summons a second avatar once it reaches half health. This mostly just makes it difficult to get in charged attacks, but otherwise isn't that dangerous. Now that I'm thinking about it, there may be a second solution to this annoying little problem, and that is sleep pots. True, they aren't fist weapons, however, the rules are I can't deal damage to enemies with anything other than fist weapons, and sleep pots don't actually deal damage. So, let's grab the recipe for those. Then get snared into the crystal tunnel for some reason. Oh, smithing stone 7s, of course. I can get a decent number of those, and to that end, I also need your help, good sir, to break this statue. Thank you very much. And all those stones combined get me up to plus 22, and I'm ready to try this fight again. And I do have to be careful, the pot will actually deal damage if I hit one of the Godskins directly, so I need to throw the pot at the ground, which takes a few tries to put them to sleep. But once asleep, the fight is pretty easy to handle. Turns out, charge attacking enemies that can't fight back is super easy. Roadblock beaten, we should be good to go. Second half of Farum Azula is also a straight run-through, and then we get another DTS fight, which is basically just as easy as the last one. Actually easier, since it only takes one attempt, and gets me heavier armor to wear. Wait, why don't I have 4 talisman slots? Oh my gosh, I never talked to Enya after getting 2 great runes. Okay. Oh, I need to buy it from the shop. Okay, so that gives me 4 talisman slots. May as well see how the Maliketh fight is going to go, and the answer is not good at all, in fact. It's not my damage, not even really my durability. No, this is the final revenge of the janky hitboxes. Just hitting this boss at all is such a mess. Some of this is that this boss is very mobile, but another big portion is just the boss's weird shape. It makes it really difficult to get any number of hits in, and considering my whole strategy is big charge attacks into critical hits, that's a problem. And no, this problem does not go away in Phase 2. It gets worse. Or at the very least, it does not improve. And Maliketh is way more dangerous in Phase 2. It is difficult to learn a moveset when the boss kills you this fast. Okay, so let's think. Other than just being better at the game, what can I do to make this fight doable? How about we pivot to just doing a bunch of buffs? I picked up Golden Vow way back at the beginning and haven't really used it. And yeah, that may be making a difference. The problem I'm going to run into, though, is that Golden Vow only lasts 45 seconds, which is not a lot of time when the boss won't stop jumping around. Okay, let's swing over to Caelid to pick up Flame Grant Me Strength. This has an even shorter duration, but they will stack. And finally, Cragblade for big chunky hits. And let's switch around our Wondrous Physic for a bit. Okay, I'm still lower level than I prefer, but I have a lot of buffs, which will take a little bit of getting used to actually use this many, but let's see how this goes. Okay, didn't get a single hit in, that's great. Okay, did get a hit in, and it was chunky, and I'm dead. Okay, so the good news is my damage is great when I can hit. The bad news is I'm still constantly dying before I can get in any number of hits. Particularly in Phase 2, I just really do not know how to deal with Maliketh's nonsense. My normal strategy is aggressively cheese the fight, which is still an option, but maybe a bit more limited in application here, because my actual damage option just has no reach. Okay, as much as I would love to throw myself at this fight over and over and over again, this is not working. I'm a lower level than I prefer, and I really need some more points in Vigor for survivability and strength for damage. So, it's time for a big side quest, and in the interest of time, we're going to keep things very brief for all these bosses, okay? Good. Radahn, scary in theory, but I'm pretty high level, and charged attacks deal good work here. Loretta, I looked away, and the fight was over. Niall does nothing until his boys die, and that is a big mistake, because he is not strong on his own. Godskin Noble, this fight is better when there's only one of them, and it's way easier to deal with. Borealis, Frostbite, it sucks, but a staggered dragon is a dead dragon. Mimic, it doesn't even have a weapon. And we're not even close to done yet. Estelle doesn't appreciate getting punched in the face repeatedly, but that does not stop me. Baneful Shadows, this is not a boss, it dies. Adula, it is also a dragon, it also dies. Hidden Medallion half acquired. Why didn't I pick up the Axe Talisman earlier? Another putrid avatar, it's just as flammable as ever. Theodorix, please stop running back and forth, it will not save you from me. For long, anyway. Astel again, can't believe that grab didn't kill me. Ooh, Hallidrake Medallion. Mo deals a lot of damage, cannot survive 2 balls directly to the face. Why did I even do this fight? Okay, we've just punched through a lot of bosses that aren't really deserving of any additional screen time, and I am very sick of thinking about Maliketh. So, let's get this stupid fight. That was supposed to go better. Okay, let's see how a full buff strategy works now that I have added 30 levels to my character. Okay, you know what I didn't do? I forgot to pick up the Starfist and get that upgrade to plus 25. The Starfist works just like the Iron Balls, except it has some bleed buildup and deals even more base damage for some reason. Okay, let's switch over to that and see how this fight goes. And yeah, that's better. I do still have to struggle to hit Maliketh because stupid hitboxes, but oh boy, that's some damage. And that's into Phase 2 in record time. Phase 2 is still a problem because Maliketh loves to be a little shit, but there. Finally, he's dead. And the nightmare is finally over. Oh, right, the rest of the video. Jokes aside, I'm not actually that worried about the rest of this playthrough. The remaining bosses should be much more punchable. And that starts with the most punchable FromSoft boss of all, Gideon. And I die on the first attempt. That is never a great start. Gideon's spellcasting is a problem in this fight, because it's actually pretty difficult to get in a hit in melee without trading spell damage. And Gideon's spell damage is no joke. But you know what? That's fine. I'll trade hits. I really don't appreciate his comment spam taking out over half of my HP in one hit. I think that's rude. I think I always underestimate Gideon, mostly because he's far less impressive than many of the other bosses in this game, but something about having 15 different flavors of ranged attack that deal way too much damage is actually a problem. Especially triple rings of light. Doesn't save him though. Okay, Horaloo, will you be easy? Can you please be easy? I mean, he's definitely not going to be easy when you play like that, Seth. Okay, that was worse. Do better. I said do better. Better is what you need to do. I'm not really sure what's wrong with me here. Horaloo is not even that difficult of a fight, especially in phase 1. I think I'm just getting greedy. There's no rush. Take your time. Stop getting hit by every attack. It's not that hard. I promise. There we go. See, it's so easy to make that work. Just actually time your attacks and dodges. Okay, into phase 2 and an immediate stagger, and Horaloo never regains positioning on me for even 1 second. Okay then. That means only 1 fight left. Or 2, depending on how you count them. First up is Radagon, who gets 2 flaming balls directly to the face. Why are my attacks? I'm not two-handing. That's embarrassing. Even more embarrassing, I died. Iron balls are the Radagon killer. Okay, back into the fight, this time ready to actually play well. Good start, I'm two-handing my weapon. Charge attacks are terrifying against this boss. Between big fire damage and big critical damage, Radagon gets off like 3 attacks and doesn't even make it through Elden Slam. Elden Beast time, so we switch to the Starfist with Cragblade and a heavy infusion. I take out half its health before it can even swim away. Elden Beast is definitely putting up more of a fight than Radagon. It kind of had to, but it really doesn't matter. Starfist just deals too much damage and too much stagger. Goodbye, Elden Beast. And that was Elden Ring, beaten with only fist weapons, and that was pretty fun. Fist weapons are quite good in this game. Between their fast attack animation, good charge attacks, at least for a few of them, and decent damage, they really wreck most bosses. Most. But I will have more to say about that in the summary video, out next week. I did want to shout out that I do have a Patreon, linked in the description. I spend a lot of time making these videos, so if you enjoyed the video, want to support the channel, and are financially stable enough to do so, that exists. No pressure though, this channel is free to enjoy for everyone and will remain that way. For now, if you liked this video, be sure to hit that like button. If you'd like to see more of this, feel free to subscribe. Hey, maybe leave a comment if you have something you'd like to say. But whatever you decide to do, have a safe trip home.